Hello again and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Comfort Zone. I am James English. This is Mr.
Gerren Sprout.
Mr. Gerren Sprout.
There was a delay. What's up with that?
I was letting you do the talking.
Okay, appreciate it.
You probably noticed something different on the set today.
They don't notice a thing.
They don't notice a thing?
No, man.
All right.
No.
So as if you saw the last episode, it's airing before this, you would know we now have a summer intern who's a managing production for us, which allows me some freedom to engage deeper in the conversation, which Gerren has been begging me to do. Now, If you've also seen the last video, you will know that we're overcompensating today. Last video, Gerren had no sleeves on his shirt, and he received some grief for that from a variety of people who love and care for him. And so he decided to swing the pendulum in the Florida summer.
Yep.
The complete different direction. So, Gerren, could you please tell the audience why it is you have a full-on coat?
There's a reason for all of this, James. I went to the doctor, okay, and my doctor's office is pretty cold. Okay, so I was wearing that before I came into the studio.
Okay,
I just haven't taken it off.
Okay, all right, so that's fine. That's fine.
That.
We'll take whatever excuse. Just know, friends and family, he cares about your opinion, and he did not want to be a distraction as he was in the last video. I'm sure you saw Catherine was on the set, and his arms were swallowing her visually in the picture. So, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Take a meme. He loves to be a meme. Zoom in on him. And we'll go from there. Listen, so Gerren, today we wanted to kind of extend some conversations we've been having behind the scenes. And, you know, something that's come up recently that seems to be of some interest is this idea of confidence, true and genuine confidence. Yeah. And we see it in popular society today, everything from the manosphere stuff to the trad wife stuff. To talking to you know, our friends and family that are in college or kind of coming up in the next generation. Yep. And one of the things that you hear often is this notion of confidence, and you know, whether it's confidence built on, you know, how I look, how I feel on a particular day, or whether it's confidence built on wisdom. We'd love to just have a conversation and break that down, and really try to unpack how we engage with confidence authentically and genuinely, and how does that apply to the kids we're raising, to the communities we interact with, because obviously it's a big topic. What do you think about that, Gerren?
I think even the young adults, those who are in college, may be surprised at how many adults are struggling with that very thing. You know, I hear the sigh. Yeah, you look around, man. You find people in every arena who are struggling. They walk into rooms, James, and they're struggling with, are they paying attention to me? Like what? And they're all just going into their turtle shell, you know, and staying on the outskirts of the rooms because they don't want to be seen, which is pretty odd because typically people want to be seen. Wouldn't you agree?
Would I agree? Yeah, I mean, yes, people want to be seen, man, unless insecurity is right behind the shell. And I don't want to jump in too deep too quick.
Sure.
But so folks, if you're tuning in today, confidence is the topic. Confidence in how we deal with it at our age, with our perspectives, but also how we encourage the children we're raising and the communities we interact with to genuinely jump into that. So Gerren, you just brought up a really good point. Let's make this point number one, right? Which is, you know, as we show up, and you and I and Curtis, we laugh about this often. We talk about prowess, all right? And prowess is a term we use to basically describe your aura. When you walk into the room, what do people think? What do they say? What are their first assumptions about you? And, you know, Gerren is blessed to be a 6-something, you know, muscular gentleman, spends time, high maintenance body type guy. And so when he walks into the room, what often happens is the C's part and people notice his prowess.
This guy.
And so before you even say a word, before you even interact with anybody, people have made assumptions about your confidence level, Gerren.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, you know what? So I'll let everything that you say just lie, okay? just let it lay there. But what I've learned is that people believe that there's a measure of discipline to me from the very beginning, because they're like, you must work out, right? And for you to have that kind of body, that means that you go multiple times per week. And just by that alone, there's half the battle is done. I know you remember G.I. Joe back in the day. It talks about, right? So half the battle is already done by me walking in the door and just demonstrating that level of discipline.
Yes.
So I use it to my advantage.
Okay.
For sure. Okay. And it sometimes people walk up to me and they say, "You must be somebody I need to know." They've never met me from Adam.
I've experienced this with you.
Yes. So again, there's a level of humility, but then there's also a level of awareness that this is happening. What do you do with it, Gerren? That is part of confidence as well, James, right? Because it's how you use the power that you have in the moment.
Right.
So I'll stay right there for right now.
Yeah. So this part of it, this prowess kind of dynamic is something that in pop culture today is a big thing. The gym is filled with guys who are trying to look a certain way, filled with podcasters that are trying to push a certain ideology because they believe in this. They believe the image you give off, right? The vibes and the aura you give off say a lot about who you are.
Yeah.
And part of what I want to get into with you, because again, we talk about this all the time. I have a minuscule amount of the prowess he has.
But
now,
the way you show up is different as well, James.
I understand.
We talked about
I understand. It's not going to be only about Gerren.
Okay.
As you can see,
I'm always
his confidence is already breaking down because we're talking about his prowess. So, but what's the focus, Gerren, of these groups, right? Is to make people feel a certain way because of how they look.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a fascination right now. My niece, our producer, she introduced me to this whole looks maxing.
Yeah, I've heard about that
thing where the guys, are trying to shake their jaw with the the little exercise pounders. That's what they're using to put on their face to break the bone, to shape the bone.
And it's working.
They think it is. I don't know that it does, but again,
it's a hammer.
It's like a hammer, right? A soft hammer. But the idea that I'm putting all of my effort and energy into how I show up, how I look, the aura that I give before I open my mouth and say anything, seems to be the fascination winning the day. And what I want to get into with you is, man, the vulnerability that's very right behind that. When you have to open your mouth, when you have to represent yourself. Can you talk a little bit about the work that you've had to put in, even while you're building your physique? The work you've had to put in to at least broaden the width of this confidence from this paper thin physical thing to something that's significant, that's meaningful. Talk about that, man.
So I would say probably 12 years ago, man, my business coach, he introduced me to the idea of Toastmasters.
Okay.
Right? He says, Gerren, you need to do this. You are always on a stage. You're always in front of someone. You're always talking to someone. You need to respect and honor those moments. So I suggest you go to Toastmasters. Now, in the beginning, I wasn't interested in going to Toastmasters. I would go and I saw these people getting up and doing these speeches and all these different back tables. And I'm like, what is this, man? I would go and then I wouldn't go. I'd go and wouldn't go. Until one guy grabbed me and he says, come on, man, you need to show up. And I'm like, why do you even care? And he says, because you're good. You need to show up. So I committed to it. Every Friday at 7:30 in the morning, 7:30 to 9, I'm there at Winter Park Toastmasters. And I am building on this thing. I'm learning that when you're at the back table, you actually learn people's names and you learn how to listen. And you listen for the ahs and the ums and all these nuances that comes with communication. I didn't know that was the gift in this whole thing. A lot of times people look at Toastmasters as, okay, I'm going to go up and I'm going to give a presentation. It's much more than just a presentation. So that's one thing. The next thing is my mother. She was an educator and she would always invite me to read a book. Reader's Digest was her main thing, man. All right. And so she was always pushing that every day for us to read. And my friend Genevieve Baird, when I was in college, she was also an avid reader and she was always recommending me to read. I wanted to watch football. She says, read, Gerren. So these two things I started to implement into my day. So if you look on my calendar, James, there's a time in the day where I stop and I present in the mirror. I literally just pick a topic and I just speak on that topic for 30 minutes in the mirror, right? Judging myself, I would record myself. I'll turn off the camera or turn off the audio and just look at my expressions. Or sometimes I'll put on the audio, listen to it, but not look at myself. All of these different things to improve upon my communication skills as I'm standing in front of someone. Last night when I was at a networking event, James, this one gentleman, he's talking to me and we're around the bar And the waiters and waitresses, they're moving with, with their bottles of wine or with glasses, and they're moving through the audience, and people are moving and shaking their hands. And while I'm speaking to the person, I'm like gently just like putting my hand on the shoulder just to keep him from moving because I see the waiter pulling behind him. Or I would just like rest his hand or just like tilt or shift myself so people can move. And he said at the end of the night, he's like, listen, this is the first time that I've met you. But he says, I learned a lot from you today. You are so aware. I saw you talking to me, but you were also paying attention to the room. Like, how were you doing that? And why were you doing that? And I said to him, it's the thank you moments. I know that this person is passing through and they don't want to spill that glass of wine. I know that somebody's waiting for the glass of wine. So I want them to get to them. I know that the waiter and the waitress or somebody who's walking by doesn't want to stop our conversation and say, excuse me, sir. So I just shift you and move you so people can just flow and we can stay connected in what we're talking about. But all of this came from those steps that I took, man. Toastmasters and reading on a day-to-day basis and speaking in the mirror.
Yeah. So man, okay, there's a lot there I want to unpack with you. So first and foremost, to confirm, your efforts to bolster your confidence, I'm seeing come through presence and humility. Okay. Which are not the ingredients that those guys in the gym.
Yes.
In fact, one of the biggest like conversation pieces the generation's having in this, like, manosphere, it's an overused term, but in this kind of male confidence crisis dynamic is never apologize. Don't ever show weakness. Apology is weakness. If you let anybody see or think that you did something wrong, it's a sign of weakness. What I heard you say is, I'm present.
Yep.
You're doing the work in the gym. You're doing the work on your physique because that's just health. It's everything that you need in order to continue a healthy life. So that's a non-negotiable.
Sure.
But the next thing I'm hearing is I'm present.
Yep.
I'm present in the moment. I'm observing the places that I am. I've prepared myself well. I've spoken. I've read. I know better than anyone that I'll meet for the first time how I show up.
Yep.
Because I've watched myself and trained myself to be present.
To be present.
And because I know myself, I'm not insecure about the way I show up when I start opening my mouth.
Yep.
People may have already had an assumption about me from when I walked in the room. But now that I'm actually in the room and there's a conversation happening, I can genuinely engage because I'm present. And then the last thing I'm hearing is humility. And let me explain why I say humility.
Go for it.
Humility I see because you are not only thinking about the first move, you're thinking about how that move affects the person who's ultimately the recipient of the second move.
Yep.
So the fact that you would reach in and show care, even as you're being present. So I'm imagining, Gerren, that you're sitting there, you're in the middle of a conversation. At the corner of your eye, you see what's going on.
Yes.
You're holding this guy to prevent it because in your mind, you've already figured out, wait, that guy is going to deliver a glass of wine to somebody I cannot see. But I can see him and I can see who's coming to him. And I'm going to engage, be present, and also in humility, prevent the inevitable disappointment that could happen and the distraction that would ensue and take away from the waiter who's trying to just make a living. And then the person who's also trying to get their glass of wine. And all of that because, Gerren, you've done the work.
It's wild how, as you're explaining that, James, I'm getting chills through my body. Like man. Yes.
Right?
I'm thinking about all of that.
Absolutely. And it's natural.
Yes.
You're not only thinking about the person in front of you that you may be trying to impress, because you're not, because you're present.
Yes.
You're just being who you are. We're talking about authentic confidence.
Yep.
Right? But this additional layer of strength through this superpower of humility is something that I don't think gets enough spotlight in this conversation.
Why don't you think that is, James?
Man, because of what you said. All right. We're all familiar with the 10,000 hours kind of concept, right?
Yeah.
Put in your 10,000 hours and right. It puts you into a stratosphere, that everybody would, desires to be in. What you described, Gerren, is 10,000 hours in the gym, 10,000 hours in Toastmasters, 10,000 hours in the mirror at your house, 10,000 hours, 10,000 hours, 10,000 hours. Not one, but 4 or 5
Different lanes.
that get you to be there and relevant and a superhero of sorts in this place. You are able, your senses are able to pick up on things you're not even involved in because your mind is looking for ways to apply this very unique trait of humility.
Yep. There's something, James, that you taught me years ago when you introduced me to golf. I remember us being out there on the field, and you said on the course, and you said we were having a different conversation. You said it's better to be, what is it, interesting versus interested, or what was it again?
Yes, better to be interesting than interested. Yes.
Listen, man, that stayed with me from that very Sunday. Right? Because I think you were navigating your professional career, and it was like, man, you're still employable, James, and you're going into all these rooms and having these different discussions. And I was asking one of those questions, like, how do you step into a room and still be able to add value to different discussions that may be above your pay grade, above your, It stayed with me, and I said to myself, man, if I could just hone in on my superpower, the gift that I've been granted. Even if I don't know what someone is talking about in a certain conversation, it's above my knowledge, my wisdom. I can be confident in what I can be confident in. And that alone keeps me grounded in the room, in the space. And I don't have to deal with the imposter syndrome or any of that, because that's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
The work has been to believe that what I'm good at is good enough for the space that I'm in at the moment.
Right.
Because sometimes you feel as though it's not relevant, or like, man, that's good, Gerren, that you're a collaborator and you like to be inclusive and all this stuff, but that doesn't apply here right now. When I believe it and I trust it and I take action, James, people are just like, man, I'm glad we were all here together and we were able to chum up this conversation.
Yeah.
That's when it shows up.
Yeah, man. So, you brought up something I want to share with the audience about myself.
Sure.
So as an introvert, growing up in a very conservative household, right? Experience and having a broad perspective on life and the world was not necessarily a very high priority. It was, you go to school, you get the good grades, you become, strong spiritually. And then after that, you get a good job and you just work. You dedicate yourself to the work. Yeah. And you have a family. Hopefully all that goes well. You raise some kids and you
call
live,
it a life.
Right. You call it a life, right? You age gracefully. I'll say it that way. But when I got into the spaces that I got into professionally, which were places my parents never got, I tried to take that stoic kind of myopic view of life into those spaces, and it failed miserably. I was not able to have the relationships I needed to have. I saw the impotence, I'm using that word carefully, of my effectiveness when it came to being convincing and to lead and guide opinions and perspectives. As part of my job as a director and beyond at that point was to help shape perspective, help guide an organization in the area that I specialized in, where they should go. And I was always very frustrated. Why do people say what they say about me? And I never forget it. My boss at the time, one of the best bosses I've ever had, she came to me one day and she said, James, hey, I have a question for you. I said, what? She's like, people ask me about your sexuality. I was like, what? I mean, what do you mean? People, She's like, it's okay. She's like, but people are wondering about your sexuality. And I'm like, why? Why in the world would people be wondering about my sexuality? And what does that have to do with anything?
That we're doing here. Yeah.
And so I said, I mean, I was taken aback, clearly, because it's the middle of our regular meetings at the end, right? And she says, James, honestly, I know you, right? And I didn't want to assume anything. I wanted to, just let you know it was okay.
This is different.
And so I said, no. And I'm like, what? And she's like, let me tell you something, James. I've known you a long, long time. And I can tell you, you've just not given people a chance to get to know you.
Okay.
And because you haven't, they believe you have something very, very, very secret that you're trying to keep away. She says, James, doesn't matter what your sexuality is, right?
Even then you're trying to like,
right.
What are we talking about here?
But my advice to you
Yeah.
is give people a chance to get to know you.
Yeah.
And that conversation has been seared into my brain, because shortly after that, I began very, very dedicated work to now cross this canyon of how do I honor what I was raised to be,
Sure,
but also now convert to what I need to be, to at a minimum give people an understanding of who I am, enough to know that I, happy man. I wasn't married at the time, but I think, I wasn't even dating Christine at the time. But got it. So there was no question about my sexuality, but I needed to figure out how to bridge this gap.
Yeah.
And the gap I learned very quickly was, James, you're not confident because you didn't learn some things about yourself, about the world, to be interesting. And so I fell into this thing. Well, my routine of life, I am what I am, and I believe, and it got me here, so it must be good. And I missed out on this opportunity to learn about the world and be interesting, to be able to carry a conversation that was not just about work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
At the time I was doing the work in the gym, so physically I felt great. But when I showed up in a room, when I was at a business dinner, right, that would last 3 hours at a steakhouse on a Tuesday night, and I had to sit there, and all I knew was work.
Man.
And the person there wasn't looking to talk about work. They were looking to talk and learn about me, for me to be interested in them, and to see what we have in common. The business would be the 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the end. Everything else, relationship. So I went to my other boss, I switched bosses at the time. And I said to him, look, you are a masterful conversationalist. Everybody in the community loves you because they know you and respect you.
Yeah.
I see the way you engage with them when we're out socially and otherwise. I need a boot camp. I need boot camp. I need reps. And he told me some things. He was like, James, even if you don't do it, you need to go learn about wine. You need to go learn about travel. You need to go learn about this. You need to go learn about that. Yeah. Go learn about some things so that at least when you're sitting down at the table,
you have something to say.
You can be relatable. Yeah. And that work, man, that work I put in, it took years.
Sure.
It took some years for me to not only learn and expose myself, do research, apply that, build up the confidence to be encouraged to talk about things, maybe even things I hadn't even experienced yet. Yeah. But the idea that I know about them and could talk about my desire to one day experience it was a conversation unto itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes people feel as though like they have to know everything about that topic, and that's not the truth.
No.
Right? We were talking to our producer here and about just sometimes asking a powerful question is just good enough.
Learning how to ask a question.
Learning how to ask the question
is the 10,000 hours of work.
1,000%, because you keep the conversation going.
100%.
You move. You allow someone to now interject and give their perspective on a thought. You don't have to be the person that's carrying the conversation. And you know that I do this often, right? And do it well too, where I might just ask a question, plant it inside the room, and then sit back and watch. Watch the magic happen of people, the superpowers just starting to show up, and people sharing their perspective and where they've traveled to and all of that. But James, it started from that question that you asked me on the golf course. Well, that statement you said, man, be
interesting.
Yeah,
be interesting.
Yeah. So for me, I'll tell you this, man. So my wife laughs at it. My kids sometimes laugh. When I'm in the shower, when I'm taking a bath, man, I am watching something on YouTube, 100%. Something random. Yeah. Right? And they're like, why are you always listening to something random? Like, be interesting.
Yo, I do the same, man. And again, the idea that you have to, I want to make sure the audience is clear. The idea that you have to have experienced everything is a misnomer. You don't. You just have to be interested enough so that you can be interesting. And what I mean by that is, if you go and do the work, learn some words, read some books, read some articles, just come up, expand your horizons to the discomfort point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To the discomfort point. When you go into a room and people are searching, Sprav. You can start. Hey, I just dropped this word. Hey, what about this Pinot Noir from? What do you think about that? You don't have to have a glass of wine in your hand. You just need to know that. Oh, well, this is. Have you been to the
conversation is started?
Listen, Chris and I went on a cruise. And I won't blow state secrets here. But Chris and I went on a celebrity cruise.
I remember you talking about it.
And if you've been on a celebrity cruise, it's a different audience. Okay, it's much more mature. The excursions are art shows, really, not other things. And we got ourselves invited to an art show. So we go. And we're talking and we're walking around and we're dressed and I've got my arms behind my back and I'm looking interested and that's right. So the one of the other guests comes up and like, do you know this particular artist? I'm like, no, I don't, but I'm interested in learning and I see this and I'm literally just saying words about the picture. I love the coloring and I love the this and I love the you're an art enthusiast. And next thing you know, like, they call, hey, this gentleman, he's interested in this art and this artist. Then the person, what's your name? We're Mr. and Mrs. English. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. English, welcome to the show. They start telling us about the artist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That which led into, would you like to bid on some pieces?
Okay.
Oh, we could definitely work with you. Are you building a collection? Do you rotate your collection via the season? And we're there saying, what? And we're looking at each other like, hey, when is this gonna end? But we're learning.
Yes.
We didn't bail and say, no, we're not interested.
We're just passing through.
We said, let's lean in. We're on this cruise for a week.
Yes.
Let's lean into this. I kid you not, Gerren. Every single night, we met somebody at dinner, at a show, around the entertainment in the middle of the ship that saw us at the event and came to us. We ultimately did buy some pieces. Okay. Everyone that was part of the kind of the art movement on the ship heard about it.
Yep.
The people wanted to take pictures of us and put it up on the website for the thing. Why? This is a young couple that's interested in art.
Yep.
And they bought some.
Yes.
And they're fantastic and they're wonderful.
Listen, there's so much there. So much there, James, right? And I want the audience to see this. So from the first question when they ask you, are you interested in art? Or do you, and you said, no, but I like the colors. You went to the basics.
Correct.
Right? Just to kind of keep yourself on the court, in the game.
Yeah.
Basics. And that was enough for them to say, oh, are you an artist? Right? And they took it there. Listen, if at the end of that evening you invested because you wanted to, or because you recognized investing a couple $100, or if it was a couple $1,000, was part of the lesson that you learned.
Yes.
It was worth it.
100%.
And that's something that I don't think people recognize. They might be like, I don't want to spend that kind of money. But man, look at what happened as a result of you investing in the moment.
Gerren, even to us getting back on the train from Fort Lauderdale or Miami to come back to Orlando.
Yeah, there were still people.
The dude we saw at dinner the night before that also bought pieces was sitting in the lounge with us at the train station, still talking to us about the art. Telling us, I'm going to Orlando to visit my friend and he's into this and he's into that. And oh my goodness, it'd be wonderful to keep up with you and all these different things. And Chris and I talked we still talk about that because it was a moment where together we had this joint experience. Where we got to walk into this world, meet some very interesting people who otherwise would look at us and think we had nothing in common.
Nothing.
And we were able to find something
common.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so that our confidence in being able to lean into that was confidence based on our willingness to be taught.
Yes.
Willingness to learn.
Yes.
Willingness to hear and not feel lesser because we didn't know.
Brother. So and that's did you get it? I really want people to get that, man, because people, going back to that whole manosphere, the image that they portray is that you should know it all. Like you are the alpha.
Correct.
Right? Whereas the humility that you saw in me is like, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn.
Right.
which opens you up to so much because people are so willing to share.
100%.
And you get more out of them when they get to share than when you just try to compete with them in these conversations.
Absolutely, man.
I got a friend of mine that met me off of TikTok. I call her a friend. Her name is Liana Shauli. Look her up online, man. Image therapist. She's a phenomenal woman out of LA. She and I, we get to talk. We jump on Zoom calls and we speak sometimes. And she is a wordsmith. She knows several different languages. She's from Peru. I'll get it. Forgive me, Liana. Right? But the fact is, she when we're talking and she uses a word that I don't know, I turn to my next monitor and I start looking at it. She's just like, "Do you know that word, Gerren?" I'm like, "I do not, but it sounded so good. I'm gonna look this up." She just like, and then she gives me the history behind the word and the whole nine and why it's used, and I'm just like, "Yo, I have a list, James, of words, new words that I learned from this woman, but I'm willing to say I don't know what it is, just so that I can engage with her, and then she'll share much more with me, man, brother. Humility goes a long way when it comes to confidence.
It lowers the bar of what you have to be. It removes the idea that I have to be performative in order to be genuine and authentic.
Yeah.
And the reality is, if you just show interest in people and what they are interested in, now you're interesting.
Yes.
Because they're seeing you as this open person who's a sponge, and now they want to know more about you. After they've told you everything they need to know or there is to know about that topic, they now want to know about you. Where are you from? What do you do? Dude, as many times I've told you, I own my own business and this. Oh, what is your business doing? Oh man, that's crazy. That's wonderful. How long have you been in business? Oh man, you're doing really well for how long you've been in business. Oh my goodness, man, we'll keep up with you. Look, hopefully we'll run into you on another art cruise.
Yeah.
And da 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 da. It helped shake the cobwebs, man, of some of the insecurities I had because these people were giving me in return.
Yeah.
Validation, or I say validation is probably not the right word.
That's not the right word.
But they're now demonstrating that my humility in getting to know them is reciprocated by humility and openness to getting to know me.
Yes. Now, there's something that you just shared that I think will kind of make people be a little bit afraid or anxious. When the tables turn and they're like, "Well, tell me about you." Yeah. Sometimes people feel, not sometimes, a lot of times people feel, "Well, I'm not as interested as they are. They've traveled the world and they've done all these things. Like, what do I say? What do I say?" Here's a quick tip. This is something that I do often, okay? So when someone asks me, "Hey, Gerren, tell me about you," I first say, "Listen, I was born in Puerto Rico." I let it land, right? You look at my complexion. I was born in Puerto Rico. They're like, "You're Puerto Rican? Are there black Puerto Ricans?" There's questions that's going on in their minds. And there are black Puerto Ricans. Okay. But I was born in Puerto Rico. I grew up in the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas. I moved to Maryland. And then when I got out of college, I then moved to Orlando, Florida, Central Florida. I might even throw in sometimes, when I was a kid, I had poliomyelitis. I mentioned these little things, James. Why? Because my belief is that person who I'm talking to will resonate with something.
Yes.
Either I went to Puerto Rico, I was on a cruise and I went to St. Thomas. Tell me about it. Right. Now they get to talk about it. Or you went to, did you go Terps? Did you go to University of Maryland? No, I went to a smaller college, Columbia Union College in Tacoma Park, Maryland. Then I went to Strayer University. I didn't pick up my degree. What degree did you get? Computer science, but that's not really my thing. This connection that we're having right now is really my thing. Yep. Right? And then I mentioned the business and all these little touch points to engage that person, and then the conversation continues.
Yeah. It's funny you bring it up because I was having a conversation actually this morning with a colleague of mine I've worked with over the years, and she at times helps me with some of our consulting work.
Sure.
And we were talking about how things are going for her, and in relation to one of the stops we worked together at in my career, right? And we were talking about some folks, and she made a comment. She's like, James, I think they're intimidated by me. And I said, she says, I don't think they're intimidated by me, because she was articulating some challenge. She's like, they're not intimidated by me. I said, stop right there. I said, I won't say her name. I almost said her name. I said, they're absolutely intimidated by you. Why do you think that, James? I said, because your story is so compelling.
It's rich.
Born in Vietnam, refugee in the Philippines, moved to the U.S., active in the community church. Teach English to the Vietnamese community that's coming over to the country to try to assimilate and get jobs and careers in the U.S. You're incredible at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunities that you've gotten over the last few years have been incredible. You've gone from obscure to a centerpiece of the strategy and execution of a multi-billion-dollar global organization.
Wow.
And the people you're talking about haven't moved an inch while you've moved 10 miles.
Yeah.
Of course you're intimidating.
Yeah.
And it's not because you're trying to be, it's because of who you are. And to the point you're making, just telling people who you are, having that speech is not the wrong word, but knowing yourself and be confident enough to say, this is who I am. This is the origins and the beginnings of who you see in front of you today.
Yeah.
Demonstrates in its own way the work you must have put in to get here.
Yep.
To be on this cruise, to be in this chair, to be at this event, wherever it is you find yourself, wherever it is this conversation's happening, two lives are coming together at a point. And they know how they got there, and they're curious about how you got there. So when you tell your story about Puerto Rico and then polio and then Virgin Islands and the U.S. and, you know, this and that, and how you built multiple businesses and now how you're coaching and speaking and doing all these things, to them, it's like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
It's a whirlwind. But you're showing up authentically.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I'm introducing the word, that vulnerability.
Yeah.
To them comes off as admiration. Like they admire, wow, you are somebody who's been through some things and are worth talking to.
Yeah.
You're somebody that I have not been through all that. So I can learn from you. I didn't recognize the diversity of experiences that exist. So with that, now I'm ready to sit and understand you.
Yeah. James, when I'm in some of these rooms, man, and I'm talking and people are like listening to me, I'll say my piece and then I will then ask a question to them, a powerful question to them, because I want to get to know them.
Absolutely.
I'm as curious in them,
100%,
right?
100%.
And now they begin to talk and they're just like, and then I start, I was about to say grooming, but like really just like powering up their superpower, man. They're getting to see how awesome they are too.
Yes.
Right? And they're like, man, I didn't even notice all of these things about me. And I'm like, yeah. And we're here together in all of history in the same room.
Absolutely.
Ain't that awesome?
Absolutely.
You know, I want to
Absolutely.
share in this experience with people, man. This is something that you just said though, that I want to bring Catherine in on, because she is a very educated, intelligent young lady. You may notice, 2 conversations ago, this is off camera stuff we were talking. When I came in and you and Catherine were talking, and for, I don't know, probably for 30 minutes, I just sat here and listened. I had not that I had nothing to say. I said nothing. Because part of going to Toastmasters is also about listening, right? And when you fine tune your listening, you'll know when you're to say something and when to add value and when not to. Sometimes just listen, be present, right? And I listened to how you and your niece engaged. And I'm like, man, she is a student in college. You're professional, right? Travel the world, have businesses all over the world, and you guys are talking like peers. And in my mind, I'm like, this is awesome. So the question that I have is, I'm sure that she too may be so interesting sometimes when she is in rooms with her peers, she's struggling to keep conversations going because her peers may not have had all of the wisdom and experiences that she has had.
Yeah.
And how can that be for someone like her, as well as her peers who just haven't explored the world as yet?
Yeah. So Catherine, the voice of God and the voices of God in this scenario. So you've heard the conversation, you heard Gerren's question. So how does this look in terms of your generation, folks that are in college, getting ready to enter the workforce, the life force that will push us forward? Like how does this conversation of confidence and how that shows up in your kind of age, how does that resonate?
Hello, everyone. I'm back again. So I definitely see the lack of confidence, not just like at, local school events, but like also at conferences I attend at, and even at, school events, like just for like parties and stuff. Because, go to college, you're like, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. Things like that. pickup line, like, oh, what are some things about you? Even though we don't really say it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, like, what I do now when I went to, like, I transferred into FAM. One of my, you know, super cool facts about me is I was on a TV show, which y'all should go watch, Road Trip Nation, where I got to travel the country. That's one of those experiences most people my age don't have. And I tell them, like, from that experience, I also got to do a lot of stuff, traveled a lot, even after the recording. And a lot of people are, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe you did all of that and you're just this age. And yeah, they're like, oh, I'm behind, or they have this thing that, oh, she's like super cool and I'm like super far behind. I'm not trying to glaze myself, I promise.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I don't want to sound like super too self-centered or anything, but I also as well do it too. Like, if you watch the documentary, we actually interview somebody who was only about a year or two older than me. She's from Ecuador, and she actually got to go to school in Singapore. From there, she just traveled the world. She said, oh yeah, I went to Europe. I went backpacking through Europe. She didn't live in the dream. And me and the other two people I was on the trip with, which is in awe. I was shocked. I was like, oh my goodness, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And she was only like 2 years older than me. I felt like I was behind. I was like, oh my God.
So even you felt behind as well?
Pull the mic a little closer to you. Yeah, you're good.
So even you felt behind her?
Yes.
Because of what she did?
Yes.
This is interesting.
Even when I was interviewing a lady in San Francisco, she started her business, a dance business and a modeling business, at 19. I was 20 at the point. And the fact that she started a business, had a business, and I'm not going to disclose her age, but still have it for years. I'm like, how, why, what? It was just so like bizarre to me. Like, how could people be that far ahead in life and be so young? Because I'm thinking, you know, you get that experience when you're older. You know, you got to work, you know, your little entry level and then build up. But nah, I see people my age, near my age, doing all these things, traveling, learning, exploring, studying abroad. Things that I would love to do, but, you know, maybe financial reasons, etc. And I've just started to feel insecure because when I'm seeing all these people tell me about this amazing stuff, amazing trips, and I just get jealous, low-key.
This is interesting, man.
Not fair.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you were doing some pretty awesome things yourself, and other people looking up at you saying, man, she's so far ahead of me.
Right.
Yeah.
The cycle continues.
It does. So there's a relatability and relevance aspect here, right? My perspective is only so big. And when I compare it to other people's perspective, that's big. Yeah. Again, age doesn't have anything to do with it. That's one of the things that Gerren and I are not the same age, but we feed off of each other, you know, consistently. Right? Yeah. And we've got friends around us that are various ages, some younger, some older, all with their own experiences. And those experiences, because they're different than ours, add value to ours. Yes. And so life is not broad enough or long enough for us to experience everything. Right. But if we are out there building these relationships, opening ourselves up, it can absolutely be rewarding to the point that we can plug into the experience of others to improve our relatability. I
have experienced that, James. Earlier in this conversation, we were talking about the arts. And if I'm correct, on your wall in your home, you guys have some pieces.
Yes.
Right? And even though over the years we've traveled together on numerous occasions, my wife Josie and I, we have not gotten into the arts.
Yep.
But we can appreciate the fact that you have.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Now, I remember when we've traveled abroad, for the first time in a long time, I was able to just travel with my passport in my pocket and just, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Give it to this person, Jay? Okay. Because you and your travels over the years gave me the confidence to simply now just sit back and just be part of the whole experience.
Yes.
You know? So it's that whole idea, man. When you go off and you do something and I go off and I do something and Catherine, you go off and do something, now we get to plug into each other's experiences, man.
Yep.
It's a wonderful thing to me.
You know, travel is so underrated in terms of confidence. And the reason is probably not what you're going to expect me to say.
Okay.
For many people that may be watching or engaging with this, we are used to living in a society that is completely catered to us. We know what to expect at every stop, whether it's travel across the country or, things like that. Yeah. And going to places, and I'm not talking about the Caribbean, because even the Caribbean at times caters towards the US, but going to places where you feel like a fish out of water and you have to like learn the customs and in order to engage authentically, you have to learn and respect and be interested and all these other things. Like, it brings out another side of you.
Yes.
And the speed at which you have to learn and absorb does wonders for your perspective when you return home.
Okay.
And so, I can honestly tell you,
stories, yeah.
I can honestly tell you, I mean, some of my greatest memories and learnings have come out of the country.
Yeah.
And, to the point where now if I'm not overseas like every 6 weeks, I start to get an itch because I'm now thirsty to go and learn more.
Experience. Yeah.
Right. And I've told you, I mean, there's when I travel overseas, I typically travel alone. So for me, there's this process of the journey, getting there.
Yeah.
There's the process of acclimating, right? And my schedule there is typically crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's a process of I call it acceptance that I'm going to be alone, acceptance that my sleep patterns are off, acceptance of all these things that are important to me and my clock and how I operate.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, there's this extra like level that says I'm experiencing something new. I'm learning something new about myself. I'm learning something new about my team. I'm learning something new about the country I'm in. I'm engaging with the person I've never engaged with before. I can tell my accent is starting to change a little bit. My mannerisms are starting to change a little bit. And it's not disrespectful. It's changing automatically out of being able and willing to relate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you start to see something in you that you never expected to see. And so I enjoy that process. It is at times an incredibly lonely process. And I've let Gerren know that. Like,
about it.
You go into this cocoon where you are trapped with your thoughts, and everything you're experiencing, good or bad, floods your mind at what time, because you are literally in this place where if you're not careful, it will strip you of confidence because you're now alone. And so this next concept, Gerren, of what does confidence look like when you're alone?
Man.
Talk about it.
So I'm going to be honest, and I don't have the experience on this. I'm just going to tell you what came to my mind when you asked that question, as you were kind of gearing up to it. I think about the many individuals out there who have chosen to be single, and then they project a measure of confidence in their decision to be single. Yeah. Okay. Males and females, right? Where they're just like, I'm tired of men, or I'm tired of women, and all their egos and this, and I'm just going to be single for the rest of my life. And I'm comfortable here. And there's this whole thing of like projecting that I'm comfortable here. In my mind, it's like, if you're comfortable, why is there a need to tell me? Just be comfortable, right? But yeah, like you said, man, I mean, you've had these experiences, James, where you are overseas and you're alone, and we've talked about it, in the middle of your nights when your body's still awake. Yeah. When you're stuck there with your thoughts.
Exhausted.
And you have to reconcile those things, man. And there's stories that you tell yourself.
100%.
Right? And these can be empowering stories or disempowering stories, man. Sometimes you have control, sometimes you don't.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
So when individuals are alone and they are now experiencing a different version of themselves, and the confidence that they had over these years in the past, it's now shifted, and they still have to show up. The question is, who's showing up?
So this is another part of this conversation I think is grossly under discussed, right? Doesn't get the limelight or the shine it needs. Because confidence when you're by yourself is the absolute hardest to develop. When you talked about the beginning of this conversation, standing in the mirror 30 minutes a day, practicing, understanding how you sound, the impressions you give, that's dedicating time and energy towards developing confidence when you're alone.
Yes.
If you can sit in a room, a quiet, dark room, on a chair in the corner, and be confident, you've done some work.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with how you look.
Yep.
Because you can't see yourself. You're in a dark room. It has nothing to do with what you have, because at that point you don't have anything. You're not in control. You are in a circumstance bigger and more dynamic than you. And it's just you. Yeah. Nobody to boost you up. Nobody to be interested in you and give return, the interest you gave in them. The only thing that you have is the work you've done in your mind, in your consciousness,
yeah,
in your spirituality,
yeah,
to tell yourself the truth when everything else around you says something different.
Yeah, yeah. Gratitude comes into play for me, man, because because I work from home now more than I do going into the office. I spend a lot of time alone. And there are those times, James, where I do, close all the blinds, pull the curtains, and I just sit in silence.
Yeah.
And the thing that gives me the most confidence in those moments is when I express gratitude for what is.
Yep.
I'm talking about the most minute things, James. I'm talking about the pressure that's under your butt when you're sitting on a seat, right? The fact that you feel your tongue at the roof of your mouth. You can wiggle your toe on a dime. Like that, those are some of the things that gives me confidence. The fact that I can feel the fan, the cool breeze as it hit my skin. Feel that. I feel that. Do you remember a time when you couldn't feel? So there's this dance that I have within my mind, man, and all of a sudden I find myself smiling, James. Nobody's in the room. No one, it's just me and my thoughts, but I find myself smiling out of gratitude for what is. And that gives me confidence.
Yo, gratitude is a gift. The ability to express gratitude is a gift.
Yeah.
Because mental health can put people in places where they don't even have that consciousness.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're of sound mind enough to be able to do that is in of itself a gift. But Gerren, it's this reality of who am I? What am I working on? Who am I becoming?
Mm-hmm.
And again, it goes back to humility.
Mm-hmm.
When you are stripped down to nothing, can you be confident? And if the answer is yes, then somewhere in your formula is this idea of humility. Gratitude is an expression of humility.
Yeah.
And it's not because you got something, but because you're recognizing something you've always had. And now you're actually calling it out specifically. I am grateful. Even in my circumstance, I am grateful.
Yeah.
For this, grateful for the air I breathe, grateful for, as you said, the feelings I have, grateful for conscious thought, grateful to reflect on memories of past. We talk about it all the time. If we never get back to some of the places we've been,
those memories
we talk about those memories like it just happened last month.
Yeah. And we still get the same
100%.
Yeah.
It's not just the memory, it's the feeling, it's the emotion that comes with it. Yeah. No one can ever take that from you. The gratitude you have and the confidence that comes with that.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what your circumstances are.
Yep.
That's currency. That is something that's been poured into you that can never be extracted.
Man, I as you were speaking, I would say like a minute ago, I thought of days when I would be, my early career, when I would be out there cleaning, James, and I'm exhausted. I'm asking myself, what are you doing? You're a college grad. What are you doing, man? Right? But then when I started to think about the person who was going to sit in this chair or sit on this toilet or walk through these doors or rest their hand on this doorknob, and I was cleaning it and disinfecting it and all of a sudden I'm serving others.
Yeah.
And there was gratitude that came up in that moment. There was confidence that came up in that moment because I was doing a thing that made a difference tomorrow.
Yeah.
I
do, man. As you talk about that, I reflect on, the time period right before I started the companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through some things professionally that would rock the most steady person. And where I was in my career was a place that most people would spend their lifetime trying to get to, professional lifetime trying to get to.
Sure, yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to get there at time when I was still relatively young, a lot of experience, but relatively young. And young, and to the point where despite how much you try to avoid it, what you've accomplished, your title, your status in the community and other places are in some ways tied up in your job. And then when you pivot and you don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And you walk around. I remember calling you one day, and I went to a conference shortly after I started the companies, and I was sitting at a table, and I had the badge from the conference that had my name on it. It had my title and my company. And I remember sitting down at the table, and all people from these big companies around the country. And I remember saying, I don't have any value here. So I put my badge upside down on the table because I wasn't ready to answer questions that were more interesting about me and where I was at this time other than my name.
In the past, you could talk about your company and what you guys are doing, where you're going, the plans.
Yep.
Now it's just you.
Now it's just, what's your name, James? Who do you work for, James?
Say it. Let it roll off your tongue.
Well, that's how you know.
You see, he started with that versus just saying the name.
Yeah, I mean, we joke. There's, in our culture when somebody's jiving, when somebody's trying to avoid, you know what it is, like, so it was, I was working with this company, but started my own thing, and okay, well, what's the name? And English Solutions Group. Oh, okay. Have I heard of that before? How long ago was this? Oh, it was, last week, 2 weeks ago. Oh, what happened? Oh, okay. And then you start to feel, you anticipate the pity. You anticipate the whispers. You anticipate all the things. You project it. It's not the reality. I heard a great quote as I was going through my recovery from this, talking about we so often project the conversations that never happen.
Never happen.
We think that people are interested in our demise because that's what we were focused on. And we completely miss out on the fact that they are living lives too. They have their own journey too. They are not uniquely focused on whatever it is you're going through. And I became fixated on that. And so that whole conference took 3 days or whatever.
3 long days.
It was long days. I think I actually skipped a couple sessions because I was exhausted emotionally.
Yeah.
And then I remember going to the next one. I remember calling him, like, I did a little better.
Yeah.
I told somebody, what I'm doing, and now, now it's not an issue. Now it's not an issue. And that's time, that's healing, that's understanding where I am, understanding purpose and all that. But again, it goes back to this idea that little wrinkle in my life has helped me rebuild my confidence, not on who I am, what my title is, what company I work for, but on me.
Who you are.
And I did not realize to that point, because I had so many artificial things in my life to construct confidence, a front of confidence, that I never realized I actually was still lacking true, authentic confidence that I was stripped of and then had to find a way to heal and rebuild.
Brother, and I want people to know this, man. You are a great communicator. You articulate well. How many times have I called you with jumbled up thoughts and I'm like, James, here, I'm just going to share it all with you. Please make sense of it and give it back to me. And then I'd record our conversations just so I can be clear with my thoughts. You were someone who was a great articulator, and you found yourself in a situation where you couldn't even share the company that you work for.
Didn't have the word, which is my own company. Think about that.
Your own company, your
my
name.
My own company.
You couldn't even say it.
Couldn't.
I want people to get this, man, that even though like your superpower may be right there, but because you struggle with confidence, all of a sudden it can break all of that down just like that. Another thing is sometimes you don't know how much stock you have placed in your titles.
Yeah.
Company you work for, the car you drive, the neighborhood you live in.
Yeah.
And if it's stripped from you, who are you?
Well, you know the extreme lengths I go to not have those things define me, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's because I don't want to bring artificial things back into the conversation of what defines me and how I show up.
Yeah.
And that's incredibly important because so often we're all guilty of this. So often we find ourselves looking for that like point of stability that would make sense to people in the world who are looking at us to see us through the lens of, oh, you live in that neighborhood, or, oh, you drive that car. Oh, you have this purse, or you travel to this location, or this is the class of travel you fly when you travel, right? You know, I will not take pictures of anything because I don't want people to misconstrue exactly what it is going on, because the blessings that have gotten me to those places is not what they shouldn't be studying where I am. They should be interested in the blessings and the foundations of what led to this, right? So, man, it is a intentional, pragmatic, purpose-built like effort to reconstruct yourself in a way that builds true and honest confidence, man. And it goes without saying, I don't want to belabor the point, but you know, it takes those 10,000 hours, not in one area, but a willingness to do it in multiple areas. All right, so Rob, let's pivot. Let's end on this conversation. We both have kids, man.
Yeah.
We both have kids coming up in a world that is incredibly challenged. And we both have daughters, as a matter of fact. So incredibly challenged. How do we have this conversation on building true and authentic confidence when they're living in a world that's TikTok, Instagram, that's the projection of what confidence and success and all these things look like? How do we have the conversation with our daughters about this?
So I'll just jump in and say, man, one of the things that we've been doing has been really diving into our kids and manufacturing situations that allows them to be creative. And we don't know what's going to come up when they are in that creative space. But what does come up, we celebrate. So there was a period of time where one of my daughters, she was into crocheting, and she would make bags and sweaters and so forth. And all of that came when we told her to put your phone down and just like find something else to do. Right? She would stay in her room and then she would create something. Another one, she created beads, right? Like beads that I would wear as a bracelet or what have you. And she would come up with some really cool designs. Another time, my daughter, she and her friend came up with an app, right? And we'll talk about that later on once we get it developed, right? But there's all this creativity that's bubbling within them that we create the conditions that allows that to breathe. And then we celebrate it. We talk about it. How did you get here? What did you do? How were you thinking through this problem? The whole nine. And we do all of these things so that they can see, they can be witnesses of their greatness. That's really important for us, man. And from when they were kids, when they were younger, we always told them, our goal, your mother and I, our goal is to help you with your mind and the way that you think and how you make decisions, because we won't be here forever.
Right.
And we want them to be able to make sound decisions as best as possible, as often as possible. So we've been queuing those things up, James, so that as life comes at them, and like you said, right, like life is the TikToks and the social media, all this stuff, their ability to think through will at least get them out, get them out the gates, man. Yeah.
So, my answer to that has been reminding them of the love around them and the importance of living life for the experience, not just for the result.
Not just the result, you said.
Correct. And it's an ingredient our parents didn't necessarily give us because it was just a different time. But the fear of making the mistake have stopped people, and I think we've both experienced this, have stopped us from living life to the fullest and not taking some chances and realizing the value that we could create and what we learned through those experiences.
Yeah.
And so don't necessarily see your value through failure or success. See your value through effort. And the fact that you have a community of people that are going to be there as home base, no matter what happens out in the field, that are going to cherish you, that are going to hold you up, that are going to pour into you at this age, right? So while you have it, and it's like in its vibrancy,
yeah, there's energy there.
that is always a safe place for you to lay those burdens down, take a seat, cry on somebody's shoulder, and be reminded of who you are and whose you are.
Yeah.
And learning that skill young, I feel, as I look back on my existence, I was built up. I was told, James, you're smart. You got the world's at your feet. You can do whatever you want. All those things are great. But I was afraid to have experiences because of the conservative environment we grew up in.
Yeah.
And so allowing and encouraging my daughters to have experiences, to make mistakes in a healthy way, right?
Sure.
Meaning when I say mistakes is just don't judge everything by the outcome. Judge it by the experience. What did you learn?
Yeah.
And then let's have a conversation about it. And through the conversation, there's this restorative power that I survived it. I learned from it.
Yeah.
I grew out of it. So now let me go and build to go try again. Try something different again.
That's a bottle of confidence right there.
100%.
Yeah.
Because now they're going into this thing boldly, not fearing what it will do to them,
Yes.
but interested in what they'll learn from it.
Knowing that they have the ability to still like go through it.
Correct.
Yeah.
You will survive it.
You will survive. I have a friend of mine, man, she's been ill. Met her through the cleaning industry. And there's this thing that we always send to each other. But did you die? Okay. Her name is Jody, right?
Yeah,
Jody
yeah.
Carroll. And she's like, but did you die? And she's gone through some things where she was on the brink of death. And she posts something online, and I want to send it to her online, but I know people won't.
Yeah, they're not going to get the joke.
Get it,
That's an
right? So I
inside
got to
joke.
send it to her personally,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
But
yeah,
did
yeah,
you
yeah.
die?
Yeah.
And just knowing that you did not means that you're able to
You survive.
Yeah,
Right.
Confidence.
Absolutely, man. So listen, folks, as we close today, obviously topic is broad ranging. As you can tell, this is something Gerren and I talk about often. We laugh about often because the process of building confidence can be funny. Yeah. It is, when you're putting your time and energy in, it can absolutely be, it can create waves, right? In your experiences, and some of those can be enjoyable. And I encourage you to enjoy the experience, smile in the face of it. That's important. But the value that it will bring, and I want to focus specifically on building confidence in that quiet room when you're on your own. That is the key to the puzzle. That's the cheat code. It's the hardest work by far, but it will have the biggest impact on who you are, how you show up, and your openness to humility. So Gerren, close us out, man. Give us a closing word, man, and get us on our way.
I think we've done a really good job, man, of covering the points that we wanted to make today, and it actually opened up some other conversations. I loved Catherine's input and perspective on the young adults and what they're going through.
Yeah.
If you're out there, man, and you are a young adult and you're wondering how are you going to, like, where are you going, what's the well that you're going to pull from to gain this confidence necessary to step out into the world? I mean, this is a great conversation to kind of reflect on, talk amongst your peers about it, and share thoughts and opinions. I mean, even play some stuff in the comments, right? Because we'd love to respond to you. You can reach out to us, reach out to the channel. This is a discussion a topic that we can talk about again, James.
Absolutely.
Right?
And Gerren, if somebody wants to get a hold of you
Yeah.
for coaching or help or support as they think through how to build their confidence journey as they're working on, their businesses or what have you, how do they get a hold of you for that?
Listen, the best way to just get in contact directly to me is contact me at gerrensprout.com. Look at it both ways. You can either go to gerrensprout.com and contact me that way, or just send me an email, a direct email. You can say, listen, I heard you on the podcast. Here's some areas in which I am struggling with. I'd love to just have a conversation, and we can schedule that.
Yeah.
Contact me at gerrensprout.com is my email. Someone from my team or myself directly will reach out to you, and we can get that going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as always, we have enjoyed this conversation with you today. We look forward to seeing you again here on Beyond the Comfort Zone on the Growth Mindset Network. We're excited about the series of topics we have coming up. We want you to continue to tap in, like, comment, share with somebody that needs this information. Do not keep this to yourself. We're working to build our community, and we look forward to the contribution you'll make through sharing this video. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again very soon.